Okay, today's question involves our part in Bible interpretation. Teachers, reading the material is simply not good enough. If your students think that all you're doing is reviewing material, it'll come to the point where it'll be very mechanical, and then they'll wonder if they're coming to class simply to visit with you. And that's okay to a point, but we want them to become disciplined students of the Word. So, gonna read two verses for you. Well, Mark chapter 1. We're going to return to it this Sunday, I promise. I think. And at Mark chapter 1 and verse number 16 rather, as Jesus walked in by the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. Jesus said to them, "Follow me, and I'll make you become fishers of men." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. And he gone a little further from there, he saw James the son of Zebedee, John his brother, and they were in the boat mending their nets. Immediately he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the boat and the hired servants and went after him. No explanation given as to why they should go to Jesus. No explanation as to why the fathers seem to be okay with the boys leaving the family business, and there's just a lot of answers that are not given in the book of Mark. We look over at the book of Luke, and Luke provides a little bit of detail. Luke chapter 5, Jesus is teaching a crew on the beach. When the multitude pressed about him to hear the word of the God, he stood by the lake Gennesaret, saw two boats standing by the lake, but the fishermen had gone from them and they were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, which was Simon's, asked him to put out a little from the land. He sat down, taught the multitudes. And he had stopped speaking. He said to Simon, "Launch out into the deep and let down your nets to catch." But Simon answered and said, "Master, we've toiled all night and caught nothing. Nevertheless, at your word, I will let down the net." And when they had done this, they caught a great number of fish, and their net was breaking. So they signaled to their partners in the boat, and they came and helped them. And they came and filled both boats, so that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Oh, depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish which they had taken. And let's see here. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Now listen to this. Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on you will catch men." So when they had brought their boats to land, they forsook all and followed him. I think you'd agree there's a grand bit of difference between those two accounts. They don't contradict one another, but certainly Luke has quite a bit more information. You get the idea, not from Mark, but from Luke, that they just saw this amazing miracle, a huge catch of fish. It's recorded in Luke, and so we see maybe why the disciples had no issues leaving everything to go after the miracle-working rabbi. They saw him teach teach the multitudes on the beaches. They saw him do a miracle on the ship. This was a miracle-working rabbi. No wonder they dropped everything to follow him. Neither one of those things that they saw or heard were in the book of Mark or the book of Matthew. Yet, Luke chapter 5, verse number 10, "Don't be afraid, from now on you'll catch fish," tells us this is Matthew 4, this is Mark 1, Luke 5 is both, and yet Luke has the details. Okay, so here's the question. If you are reading Mark, this is a Bible interpretation question. If you're reading Mark and you see that Mark doesn't include those answers to your questions, why did they feel like they could leave? Why did their fathers not think that was a problem? All right, think this through. What would be the reasons that you would give? We're going on 4 minutes this time. I'm sorry. What would be the reasons you would give? Okay, there's two possible reasons I'm thinking of. Join the conversation and offer a third. One, Mark didn't think that they needed the information to get his point. Okay? Didn't matter why. Didn't matter why it was okay. They just left everything and followed him because he was... But see, if you don't balance it with Luke, you can come up with some pretty crazy explanations as to why they were allowed to leave everything and go after Jesus. But there's another possibility. Maybe Mark already knew that his readers knew what the readers of Luke had already received. Or maybe he knew that they had already had the information that was given to Luke's readers. We don't think Luke was written before Mark, so that's not what we're saying. But maybe Mark knew that his audience knew what Luke's readers had to hear from Luke through the letter. Is that possible? So two possible reasons. Mark didn't think they needed the answer to get the point, or Mark knew that they already had the information and didn't need further light. and that he was only concentrating on the connection between the episodes that led to and led from that episode. Have you thought about that? Why does your writer say or not say certain things? Oftentimes, it's not just what he says, it's what he doesn't say that communicates. What's your thoughts? Love you folks. Thanks for teaching.